the YouTube. I've given the YouTube link also to all the delegates who has joined. We have got the email ID. Please check your email ID in case any problem in the Zoom. You can directly go to the YouTube and click the link. Yeah, YouTube is live now. So now I request our executive member Surbi Bora to please formally introduce our today's speaker, Hiragangesh.
Good afternoon, everyone.
To Surbi.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah,
good
please.
Afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Sandeep ji. Good afternoon, Madhukar sir. Everyone is very much aware of Madhukar sir. He needs no introduction. Still, we would give a formal introduction for him. He is a senior partner of Ragange and Associates, and he has he's networked with almost 50 firms all over India. He has authored around 18 books on indirect taxation, and he has been taking seminars all over India and has been a faculty of GST and IDT. He has been a chairman of IDTC committee for over 6 years, and he has even helped in the governing council for the from 2010 to 2013 and from 2016 to 2019. He has been involved in efforts to make indirect tax simple in India and certain and fair, and has been certainly fair in creating awareness of potential knowledge of IDTC. He is also the managing trustee of Empower Education Foundation, which supports education for 1,300 privileged students. I would I welcome Hiragange sir here, and I request our convener Sandeep ji to take it forward from him. Thank you.
Thank you, Surbi, for the. Now I request our today's speaker Madhukar sir. Please take the floor, sir. It's yours, sir. Please.
Thank you. I may require some support in sharing screen. Let's see if I can do it immediately.
Yep, please.
How do you get to your browser here? Not getting.
One second.
I have actually sent the file also, Sandeep ji, earlier.
I am doing that one.
Then I'll have to tell you next every time, but I'll tell you.
Okay.
That is easier. You can do it.
That is.
I'm very bad in technology. Many of us old people, we keep saying this and we don't improve. Like me.
Sometimes our technology also defeat us. It gives us some backs.
You're not able to do means should I try once more?
Please try, sir. After that, if you're not able to do, I will do, sir. I have opened your file. After that, I will.
Let me try once and then I will come back. I don't think it is coming.
May I say?
Yes,
one
please.
Second. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Whether it's everyone can, whether you are able to see, sir, your presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. It's,
perfect.
so,
Make it.
I'm making it full size.
Yes.
One second.
And I will prompt you, Sandeep ji, if you don't mind, you will move it.
No issue, sir. Please.
Wonderful. So thank you to the Central Kolkata Study Circle, Sandeep ji. And thanks for a nice introduction, Surbi.
Thank you, sir.
This is a topic which is a topic for all GST practitioners. Anybody who wants to practice in GST, this is a very important, what I would say, topic chosen by your convener. But this topic is what I am going to give are some झलक, I would say. इसका बस झलक दिखा सकते हैं अभी, because this requires a full-time involvement, which I am going to also share with you, which are the resources possible for that. Next, please. Today's coverage will be the what are the opportunities and why the opportunities in litigation are increasing. This is just to put a background that this topic is going to be very useful for anybody in GST. Then, of course, we'll look at common mistakes leading to litigation. This is for furthering the process that we as professionals are here to serve the community, the industry, the trade. And therefore, avoiding litigation itself is a very big service which chartered accountants can give. And when you do this, you will differentiate from the lawyers. Many times the lawyers, they will only enter after litigation starts. And by the time case kharab ho gaya hota hai, the case actually becomes bad by the time it comes there. And then it may be to the disadvantage of the client. When do the clients come to us? You know, they come to us in various times. So we look at it because these are the times you have to be very clear that ऐसे time में आए, तो then what is it that you should speak to them? What is it that you should share with them that you are doing, such that when they have a problem, they will know that you are competent to do it. Many times clients don't know. Chartered accountants are capable of fighting disputes they don't know. Then, of course, we'll look at the core of how to deal with the oral inquiries, visits by department, your visits to department, inquiry आता है तो क्या करना है, audit से क्या करना है, etc. Then our resources. Are you ready to take up this particular area? क्या resources है? Then we'll take a few question answers. So I assume that I will have now it's 16:20, 4:20. So up to I think 5 I can speak, Sandeep ji. 40 minutes. नहीं सुनाई नहीं दी, आपका म्यूट में है. But anyway, if
yeah, 5 is okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So that I don't, get into the time of others. थोड़ा time हुआ start करने को. Let's look at how this is happening. The first and most important reason for disputes in GST increasing is the tax administrators are drafting the law. Then the drafting of the law was pretty poor, let me tell you, right in the beginning in 2016. उसके बाद उसको repair करते जा रहे हैं, and that sometimes when they repair, it is not furthering the objective of becoming simple, transparent, fair, and their intentions are not being implemented properly also. What is there in the law, the officers are still going under the way they used to treat us in VAT. In fact, this last week, the Supreme Court has actually passed a very strong order that the harassment by officers should stop. Supreme Court has said this. I am not readily having the citation, but if you put a Supreme Court order, I think in Google you should be able to find it. The second reason why disputes are increasing is that in India we have Parliament which is supposed to make the laws, but Parliament does not understand GST, nor is it interested. They are only interested in some negotiation, if at all there is anything. And therefore, we find that Parliament has given their powers mostly to the officers. Officers will draft powers will draft provisions which Parliament is supposed to pass, giving them the powers. And Parliament doesn't look at it, Parliament does not discuss it, they give them the powers. Then that becomes excessive delegation. The job of the Parliament cannot be done by the executor or the tax administrator. And that is what Supreme Court is going to tell, like it said in this last week's decision. Today, the focus seems to be on tax evaders. The law is being made for tax evaders, draconian provisions are put. If these provisions are only applicable to tax evaders, it's okay, because tax evaders are not to be dealt lightly. Unfortunately, these provisions are used for extorting money from everybody and frightening everybody, freezing of accounts unfairly, blocking of credits unfairly. All are going to the courts, and courts are saying you cannot do this. So this focus on tax evaders without any checks or balances is causing a lot of problems. Multiple demands. There are multiple demands being made. Previous slide, please. Multiple demands are being made, and no show cause notice will be issued. For example, there is an incorrect classification as per the department of a particular product. So in the market, the CGST, the SGST authority goes and says the classification of this particular product is as a pesticide and not as a healthcare product, say for sanitizers. Example I'm taking. Once they put this case on that particular person, the person who is the retailer, big retailer, next they will go to the distributor. And they will put one more case on the distributor for the full difference. First time is the difference is already collected or sought to be collected. Then they go to the distributor. Then from the distributor, they'll go to the whole India distributor. After that, possibly, they go to the manufacturer. So now the difference between 18 and 12, 6%, is being collected from 4 people, demanded from 4 people, collected from 4 people. No show cause notice is issued. Fake bills mein to ye bahut zyada hai, because in the fake bill, whatever racket, if you can call me, there are lots of intermediaries. The bill will pass through at least 10 people. All 10 they will catch the 10 and collect from all 10 the amount. And in that 10, maybe 4 or 5 will be put inside jail also. If the amounts are more than 5 crores, they'll also go to jail. But show cause notice will not be issued even to the first fellow. After 6 months, you will go to court and say, they are not giving me show cause notice. Unnecessarily, they have put me in jail. Court will say, release them. But still, they will not issue the show cause notice. Are you getting what is happening? So sometimes these arrests which are taking place, just because the amount is big, people are getting arrested. And sometimes the rent seeking, that is the bribe seeking, has become very high. 2 crore do, nahi to aapko andar dal denge. That type of things are also happening. As I said earlier, freezing credit ledger and cancelling the registration. Jo goods seize hote hain, they are auctioning it immediately. Sometimes even the trucks are being auctioned immediately, because the transporter is not willing to come and take all this headache. Provisional attachment of the bank account has become a very big pandemic problem. Many of the times when they do this, the business is dead, because if they close your credit account or they close your bank account, you are simply closing the business. And if you are only a pawn who is down the line, who doesn't even know this, then it may be totally unfair. Of course, if you are an involved person and you have to close your business, you're doing racketeering, I am very much for the government closing such people. Sandeep ji, next one, please. many of the amendments which are coming, the GST Council will say interest should not be charged where the credit is available. But when these people make the law, they will put some exceptions there. They will say only in the case when it is under section 73, it will apply. If it is 129 or it is 74, it will not apply. Now that was not what was the direction, but that is the way they do. They add their own element into the amendments, and sometimes those amendments can be draconian and courts will strike it down. Sometimes we also find, where many of you who are practicing in GST will know, when you go before the officer says that I agree with you, पर ये मैं नहीं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, आप आगे जाओ, ट्राइब्यूनल में ही आपको रिलीफ मिलेगा. Now, when they are agreeing with you that you are right, then why are they not passing an order in your favor? Judicial balance has gone. Judicial balance has gone because every court decision which comes in favor of the SSC is escalated to the Supreme Court. आप वो सर्विस टैक्स का RSW केस ही देखिए, आपका कलकत्ता का ही केस था, कलकत्ता क्लब का केस था. In maybe 15 years back, it was decided by the Calcutta High Court, but department went in appeal, and Supreme Court finally held in favor of the RSW, Resident Welfare Association, that it is not liable at all. But why, when they do this, they bring uncertainty, and whenever there is a decision against them, either by the High Court or the Supreme Court, they go back to their law and find out whether they can now change the law retrospectively to overcome the High Court decision or the Supreme Court decision. This is happening all the time. One more point, if you see in the GST law as compared to the earlier laws of either VAT or excise or service tax, the rules were separate. Now what they have done is, in the Act itself, they say that as per prescribed rules. So they have given the power of the Act to the rules. In my understanding, at least 50% of them are not warranted. You will find 46 plus cases. And what is prescribed, if you go and find out, in some cases not prescribed. In some cases, what is prescribed is not in line with the law. If it is not in line with the law, then somebody is going to again go to the court and say this particular rule is not in line with the law. Again, they'll make a ruling. These people go back and see whether retrospectively they can amend that act itself to enable that. There are lots of provisions in GST, which are not in line with the Constitution of India or settled legal maxims. There are a lot of settled legal maxims which are considered to be fair law throughout the world. In fact, in any good certificate course of GST you go, you'll find legal maxims are always part of it, because you have to understand what is reasonable, what is not reasonable, what is settled law throughout the world, and in India also. But you will find lots of the provisions will be against the settled law. When law is not there with what is settled in the past, what will happen? Disputes will start again. For example, the restrictions of ITC. Already you have seen around 100 cases coming. Many of them have again gone to Supreme Court or are sitting there. This is going to happen in valuation also. It is going to happen in levy also. So we are seeing huge amount of litigation happening. Object of GST was there. 101st Amendment said we should broad base the taxation and we should provide for avoiding cascading. When the government had come and fought, when it came for the 2014, when it was fighting the election, it said that we will give seamless credit. Today it is, we are finding more and more restrictions in the credit, which are actually a matter of right, and therefore there will be objections on this also. Sometimes the act is not in line with the Constitution of India itself. Maybe if I get time, I will look at it. Rules are not in line with law. That means act is something, rules are beyond. Next slide, please. Retrospective amendments, I have already told you, retrospective amendments are not always valid in law. That means when they make a retrospective amendment, again you will go back and challenge that it is not legal, and then again it will be struck down. It is possible that the government again, the tax officers again go and look for a loophole and make one more retrospective amendment. This had happened in the home solutions case, service tax on construction. They will make one more amendment and then that will again go to Supreme Court. So you're seeing that many of the items may take 10, 20 years to resolve. What happens in between? In between, a lot of litigation happens. Exporters, for example, they are not supposed to be a system where they should be denied any tax or any benefit which is given so that they can be competitive in international spaces. But there are some people, again, there are not some, I think the number is a little alarming. People who have been misusing the export route. They will export nothing and they will get the entitlement and then they will import and sell those goods, or they will take the FTP benefits, or they will take the GST credits, refund. Now, if the GST credit itself is not genuine, and I am taking a refund of that, because of all these instances, Government of India has become very strict on exporters. Remember that the making draconian powers and increasing the power of the corrupt is very, very dangerous for the country and very, very dangerous for GST. Remember, I'm not saying all officers are corrupt. No. Let us assume that 20% officers are honest, but these honest officers may not be able to do much against the dishonest, and they don't want to do also. Why should they do anything against that dishonest person? They will not do anything dishonest, that's all. Fake bills I already talked about. Huge rent seeking is happening. And there are reasons not to collect, because if once they have collected from A, there's no need to collect from B. But if they collect 25% from B, B is happy that he has got rid of it. This jailing also is a problem. Because the amount is big and there is something incorrect happening, jailing normally does not happen to what I would say, not the guilty. Innocent are not normally jailed. Unless they are very sure, then only they jail. But once they are jailed, then you can sit inside for quite some time. Sometimes 6 months, 8 months, you're sitting inside. The withdrawal of this audit by professionals, all of us, somewhere we missed out when this problem came. That time, it was known about a month before the budget, I understand. But maybe we did not do anything at that time. After it went, we tried to do something. We don't know what is going to happen. But if the withdrawal of mandatory GST audit is continued, then departmental audits will increase. Actually, the mandatory audit came because the departmental audit had become a very big evil. Crores of rupees were being collected by the departmental auditors when they went for some of the errant company audits. Otherwise, they would simply take some nominal, what you can say, chai pani and leave. Real estate, which has been an area of lot of disputes in the past, the government has come up with this 1%, 5% scheme linked to procurement of 80% from registered dealers. That itself is a very big scam in itself. Again, there will be a huge amount of disputes here. The type of conditions which are there for that 1 and 5%, I do not know how government can allow conditions not to be met. You're supposed to reverse proper amount of credit, and the compliance by the landlord is also there. I see immense amount of dispute in real estate, and this is going to go on for next 20 years. You are also aware that today the information technology is playing a very big role. Artificial intelligence is being used by the GSTN as well as the CBIC. And that's where they have started matching, notices. If matching of credit is not there, you have already received thousands of notices. Service tax versus, income tax, you already received. Income tax, service tax versus income tax, you already received. VAT versus the income tax also, and excise versus income tax. This GST you have to read as income tax. You are also going to get in future income tax versus GST. This B item you have to read as service tax versus income tax, VAT versus income tax, excise versus income tax, and GST versus income tax will also start. You'll just have to wait for another 6 months. Returns are being analyzed in a big way, and we are going to see a lot of notices there. Form 9, it is full of problems. Bugs are also there. And when bugs come, we find a jugaad method of making it uploaded. We had thousands of messages, aisa karo, upload ho jata hai. And all of us followed it without exception. Please understand. Nobody is there in India who did not do jugaad for uploading. Even if they know everything, if they are not able to do something and it happens in some other way, they did it that way and informed the department. The people who are knowing the job fully, they informed the department that since it's not uploading, this is what I've done. 90% of course didn't bother to inform the department. Upload ho gaya. So your 9C, at least in my understanding, 10 to 15% of the 9Cs will have some qualification, some comment, some disclaimer. All these disclaimers are going to end up with some notices to the client. All the exceptions. And wherever exceptions are found by department audit, which has not been given in the report, those auditors will be referred to ICAI for disciplinary action. So you are going to see huge amount of litigation. There is also a method in artificial intelligence to look at ITC. ITC can be analyzed industry-wise, what should be the percentage. For example, we have taken, I am in cable manufacturing, and I have taken, the credit of dyes, which is a coloring agent, which is say 1% of the total raw material, assume. But they will know that it should be only 0.2%. That means that 0.8% is all excess bills taken. So these type of notices also will come. And this doesn't require human intervention. Everything is going to be given by the system. They will send an innocuous letter. This is what we have observed. Please tell us how you can justify this. How can you justify that you bought 10 tons of dyes when you required only 2 tons? So it will have to go through litigation only. You know that today data mining is happening. Department also is doing that. Data analytics can also give them what is the way it's happening. Once they are able to make out a method, then thousands of notices they can give based on a click of a button. Again, application of mind is not required. This is also expected to happen. Next, please. So I think now all of you are convinced that, there is a huge amount of dispute which will happen because of some of the reasons which I mentioned. Some of the things we as professionals have to be clear is we should not blindly take forward our VAT, central excise or service tax concept to GST. Have a look at both the provisions and whatever is the difference I need to unlearn. There may be 40% which is the same. Maybe 30% is there which is almost similar. And then 30% is totally incorrect, totally different. So that totally incorrect I need to unlearn, and I need to learn the new aspects of the GST. Especially for those who practiced VAT, service tax concepts in GST have to be learned carefully. Short-term accommodation for working capital was something which many people used to do, where they would simply have a bill and a return bill later so that they can accommodate their working capital. When they take a bill, what happens is either it will go to reduce their income tax burden also, or it could be merely for the credit. I have a 1 crore liability, so I procure some 10 crore worth of goods, 1.5 crores I get credit. I take that credit. Next month, I reverse that particular supply. But remember, in GST, receipt is very important. If I don't receive something, I cannot take credit. So both of them are going to be denied the credit once this is found, and it may not be difficult for them to find it. This we should avoid. We should not say working capital ke liye use the tax credits. We should say no to that. Whenever anybody says that, tell him this is something you are going to get caught. 100% you will get caught is what we should say. You know that system may not be very efficient. You may escape. Errors in filing returns, errors in filing GST or 3B, we will do something by the last date. We all are aware by the last date, client says, sir, don't worry, September mein baith ke sab theek kar denge. But in come September, his books are not ready. Reconciliations are not being done. All this then ensures that their returns get filed late. That is your 9 or 9C, which they are filing now, or in future they will file. It will be delayed. Whenever anything is delayed, system is going to look at it. And that will be a reason to analyze it. So you will find the error of filing returns is something which is sacrosanct, I would say. We should ensure that the basic entries are confirmed and not let aside. GSTR 3B also, which is the document where we are saying that we are paying it or utilizing the credit, that also should be accurate. Monthly reconciliations, at least for clients above maybe 10 crores or something, we all have to do. Smaller ones, they may not be able to do, so they are going to face difficulty. Hopefully, government will look at them with a benevolent eye as long as they are not evading. Many times we are not able to do something because customer says, if you want to supply to me, you have to do this only. In fact, the Indian Railways itself says that you charge me 5% because I am a railway. All parts of railways are at 5%. But only parts which are specifically designed for railways could be 5%. All the rest would be 18% or even 28%. So because customer has said it, I will charge 5%. So what will happen? Then I'm in trouble. So such types of things, when we come across as professionals, we should tell them in writing, at least by mail, that this is going to be something which will come as a demand to you. Because they are hoping nothing will happen, but all these are going to get opened up. Because railways itself will give them the information. The department will go to railways and tell them, please give us all the supplies item-wise of various suppliers. And then they will say, okay, all the supplies of the following item, you give us supplier-wise. All the suppliers will get a notice. Mail merge use karke notice aa jayega. So customer focused, this thing also could be a very big problem. Many of us are looking at Google and are getting answers. Or we are going on WhatsApp, even worse. WhatsApp, who are the people who are answering on WhatsApp? Are they spending more than 1 or 2 minutes on looking at it? Very important. If at all you're using WhatsApp, you should only rely on some expert who's there. And it should only happen if you know that that person has spent some time. If he's saying yes, no, and all that, don't even bother to rely on that. Departmental audit, the moment departmental audit happens, they will come up with lamba chauda, list of errors. 80% of the errors will be covered by some case law of the past or even in GST. But they will give a lamba chauda list. All this lamba chauda list will change into a show cause notice. So what can we do? At the time of departmental audit itself, we should put a reply to the department, and very importantly, You should mark a copy to the jurisdictional officer saying that many of the, wherever the department is raising an issue, you should say covered matter in bold. Already covered matter, settled matter in bold. We do not understand why covered and settled matters are being, re-agitated. So if there are 18 points, only 3 of them are valid. All 15 points, you should put this remark and mark the jurisdictional officer. I am giving you tips to avoid the notices, because this is something which we need to do. There is also a big focus on fraudulent refunds. You know that some people did take fraudulent refunds, and because of that, whoever did a particular activity, everybody is getting notices. This is also something which is happening. Sandeep ji, next please. There are also errant taxpayers. A fake bill creator may be giving to a genuine receiver of goods. Are you getting? I am the fake bill operator. I take credit of all fake bills, but I supply you goods and I also give you a bill with correct credit. But have I paid the tax? No, I have adjusted my tax. But you are the person who's receiving it and you also get into a problem. So how you can avoid it? Please see that you deal with proper people. At least check that I have filed my 3B. And in the initial stages, don't give me the GST until it comes in your 2B, 2A, 2B minimum. That also can be a mistake, but at least that much you should take care. Also, it is very, very imperative now that we be very careful not to work with too many intermediaries. Earlier, for procurement, there used to be intermediaries in the iron and steel, scrap and all that. Don't work with any intermediary. Go tell your clients to work only with the direct suppliers, because your client is going to get into a very big problem when it comes to be known that his supplier has used ITC fraudulently. Supplier's non-compliance, should it impact a genuine buyer? Answer is no. Supplier's non-compliance should not impact the genuine buyer at all. But what is happening? Department is raising notice on the suppliers, the receiver who is genuine also. I think you are gone too far, sir. You are, yeah. You should go to item number 8, I think. 8. This is 5. Yeah. Many times disputes come to us because the the supplier or the customer is being investigated. Many times our employees, mainly in the accounts department, they would give lot of incorrect information or correct information, thinking that you are doing some large scale fraud. A client is doing some large scale fraud. Sometimes these unethical advisors are there. अरे थोड़ा पैसा कम हो रहा है, चलो इस पर notice कराते हैं. Like this, they will go to the department and make those people make notices. If they are knowledgeable, they are even more dangerous. So what is the suggestion for all our clients is, whenever they say, "Hamara consultant aisa bolta hai," ask him to take it in writing, at least in email. Sometimes competitors also nowadays getting into this GST department and getting them to make demands or disputes against their competitors. It's becoming a method of bringing down the competitors, especially if the competitor is strict. So I am not a genuine person, and Sandeep ji is a genuine trader. And he is impacting my trade. So what I am doing is, I am doing something wrong, but I will ensure that Sanjeev ji gets notices, investigation is taken up, he is harassed like anything. What is happening with me? Nothing. Now Sandeep ji is scared. Which bill of his is wrong? He will start verifying each and every vendor, and he will say, I want this to be done, I want that to be done, which vendors will not agree with. And his business will go kaput. Next, please. Sandeep ji, next. Clients come to us for many reasons. I will not go through this file. I assume that Sandeep ji will be sharing this file with you. Clients come to us for many reasons, because they had problems with the department, because they need advance ruling. They have got calls or mails seeking information. Investigation has started. Summons has started. Go to the next one, please. I think I've taken too much time in the starting. Oral communications, again, I have given details of what to be done in each case, while not having any disturbing conversation with the officer. Be straight and also record. Oral conversation, if you have had with the officer, send him a written confirmation that thank you very much for taking my call and clarifying me, and ensure that you mention what were the things you mentioned and what is the thing that the officer has mentioned. Because many times this is required to make ourselves accountable and also the officers accountable. The calls from the officers will stop if you give one letter. So then let it come in writing. Only if it comes in writing we can do. With that, I would like to go to the next slide, please. When the department visits, many times we get unnecessarily scared. Please see that if the department just visits you and goes away, you record saying that so-and-so had come. I don't know why he came, but he also asked a few questions and went away. To your jurisdictional officer, you should write a mail and keep a mail or a registered post letter. In case they have asked any questions, put the question and answer and tell them that this is what has happened. In case you have a problem when you are filing returns and all, you need to take the screenshot and follow up in writing again. Everything, if you look at what all I'm saying, I have only 3 weapons to use for genuine SSCs. Number 1, put in writing, insist on writing, escalate whenever the matter is not taken up by that authority to that authority and the higher officer. And in case nothing is happening, matters are big, seek an appointment commissioner. Again, send him something in writing and then only go and visit him. Many of us, we go to the commissioner or deputy commissioner, he says, yes, I will look into it, don't worry and all. We come back and nothing happens. So, but if you write a letter and go up, he has no choice but to act. So this is very important that you intimate in writing, even if you are going for an oral visit with the department, to the department. Next, please. Visits by department are little more difficult, but remember today, many of us have the facility of recording. Many of the offices have video recording, you have that CCTV camera. Please ensure that that particular recording is saved and kept aside, so that there is some, something available if you need to tomorrow do something. One very important aspect is, don't pay any taxes under duress. I am going to arrest you. I am going to close your account. I am going to cancel your registration. I am going to freeze your bank account. These are all normal threats given by department, but do not do it unless you are convinced and clarified that what you have done is wrong. And for that, you can always take time and see that instead of trying to adjust, find out whether there is any due at all, legal due. If there is a legal due, don't argue. Pay the legal due, interest and penalty you can pay later, at least the due you should pay. But again, when you are doing all these, if say I am your consultant, insist, Madhukar ji ek mail dal dijiye is par. And if I don't send in 5 minutes, send me a note saying aapne ye bataya, confirm kijiye so that we can pay the amount. We don't want to have any problem later. Once I confirm, pay it. But see that this is very important. You may think these are all small matters, why Madhukar ji is talking about it. Let me tell you, these small matters are going to save your client and you also. Department aane se pehle, you can always do a small review. You already done 9C work you have done. Therefore, you should be able to do a quick review to find out whether there is any big mistake in the client's records. So a sort of a pre-audit can be done. Department normally gives an audit notice. Once they give an audit notice, they say that fill up all these annexures and give. When they say that, you can tell it will take some time for the annexures to be filled. Please give us 1.5 or 2 months time. And after 1 month, give them whatever annexures you think you can complete and give them, and say the rest of the annexures you may like to come here and verify. In the meantime, a pre-audit can be done. My understanding, and you remember my experience is from 1990, I have been doing pre-audits for the department up to even now. Whenever now also there is a service tax audit or a GST audit for the old period service tax and new period GST, we are still doing the audit, pre-audit of what audit will be done by department. There is also a good book of ours, Department GST Audit Departmental Perspective. Chota book hai. If you are interested, you can look at how the department will do audit and what you could guard against. Next, please. Audit jab hota hai, when during the audit you have to be very careful not to put some chatterbox there or put somebody who thinks he knows GST. These people will trap him, make him give all sorts of statements. Be very careful. See that the right man is there for handling audit. I have found the right man is somebody who doesn't know GST. He should not know GST and he should communicate, sir, मेरे को क्या मालूम, आपको जो भी है लिख के दीजिए, हमारे कंसल्टेंट को दे के पीछे दे देंगे. Also, never have ego issues with the officers. All the officers have inflated ego. Even if they are corrupt, they have. Even if they are not corrupt, their egos are terrible. So why do you want to stroke anybody's ego? None of us like our egos to be brushed, whether it is Madhukar or Sandeep. Nobody likes ego to be brushed. Then we'll get angry. So why do you want to get into all this? After audit, please insist on audit note and give a reply in depth, detailed reply though. And if it is genuine, pay taxes with interest so that you close the matter. Otherwise, please give them case laws in writing again with acknowledgement. Seek expert opinion and give them a copy of the expert opinion that what they are saying is not correct and what they are saying is against the settled law in the matter. This is very important again. Many times we are fighting notices which should not have been there at all. But pre-deposit ho jata hai, you have to pay 30% at that point. For a frivolous case, paying pre-deposit is, heart-wrenching for the industry and trade. You also can use credits. Very important. This sometimes people think that they cannot use credits and don't use credits. When the department says, nahi, humne dhunda hai, to credit nahi use kar sakte ho. This is all bunkum. Go to a good consultant, find out how you can use the credit. You should be able to adjust your credits first. If you have credits, then that can be done. If you don't have credit, then you have to look at paying only. You can take the next slide, Sandeep ji. Yes, this is an important slide. I will spend a little time on that. If I look at notice and appeals, first you have to, all of us have to understand the client, what domain he is in, which business he is in. Just like we do for audit, we find out about the client and his industry. We'll have to do that here. Please do original research. Don't do cut paste. There are many, replies which are floating around in WhatsApp. You should not do cut paste. Cut paste from your earlier reply you can do, but then you should confirm that there are no further amendments to the law. Also, my suggestion, because disputes is a very important aspect, don't look at only favorable cases. My understanding is first look at unfavorable cases and see how your client will not get trapped in them. Then you can look at favorable cases when you go to your grounds. And remember, department is also not a fool. They are going to come up with those case laws which are available in Google just like you got them. In GST, jurisdiction is very important. Sometimes person without jurisdiction is going to make a inquiry for information or for raising a show cause notice. At that time, you should question jurisdiction right in the beginning. You have a standard operating procedures for all important things in companies. All of us who are practicing in GST, we should have a standard operating procedure for reply. It may be a 10-pointer or 20-pointer. And it's available in some good books also. That is, the SOP itself will be available. You may have to look at those. If you look at additional submissions, when I am going to give additional submissions, there has to be a SOP for that. There has to be a SOP for PH. A summary has to be made before I go for a PH. How to make that synopsis, there should be a SOP. Remember, all these also can be done and can be a part of your study circle itself. Looking at all these small things and getting it done so that your members will have a ready-made checklist to be much more effective. Whenever, at least in our offices, wherever we reply to either an inquiry, appeal, reply, anything we do, there is a small checklist. Because checklist is the thing which ensures quality, that you don't miss out anything which is important. And we are all experts. We have been prepared so many checklists in our audit. We can prepare here also. Obviously, we have to be updated with the law. If you are not so updated, please see that you are having one person, like an umbrella, good consultant whom you can go to validate all your work which you have done. Because you may not be the last word. You might have missed out one or two vital points. Go to the next one, please. So this is something which you can go through. If you want to be in litigation, how I can learn? You cannot say, okay, I want to be in litigation, I learn by replying to some notices. You can't do it. Better to go through first you have to know GST. For that, go through a certificate course for GST itself. In fact, in our academy, we have a course which is available, basic and advanced, which is free. Anybody in India can take it. But after doing that, go through a certificate course for litigation itself. Now, Tax Sutra, who we had supported in doing one, was something which was done. I don't know whether it's available now for the others, but I'm sure it will be made available. Keep an index diary, make notes. This index diary is going to be very useful. I have learned from people like Advocate Arvind Datar how important this is. And, if you meet him in the Supreme Court even today, because now I don't think you can see him in other courts, you will find he will be having a diary and he'll be making notes. Even sitting there listening to some other case, he's making some note in his diary. None of us can practice in GST without a law lexicon. You should have a law lexicon. Don't assume that I will take my normal knowledge and apply. The law lexicon is going to give you lots of new ways of looking at what could be your grounds. There are some sectoral books available, commentaries available in depth, not the references. Many times, 90% of the practitioners I meet, when I ask them, GST का क्या refer कर रहे हो? Sir, हमारे पास वो reckoner है. Reckoner is not something which is of any use to you if you are doing litigation. You have to have commentaries and something in depth. Good online subscription should be there. And if you are using WhatsApp, please ensure one or two experts are there who are active, who answer the queries so that you can go to that after all the discussion is there. Many of us who want to get into GST, litigation, if we can get somebody under whom we can work for 1 year, it could be a chartered accountant in indirect tax, which is not too many, or it could be the lawyers. Resources, I have just put some of the resources which are there. And Sandeep ji, you will be sharing this PPT with all the participants, I understand, and they can go through this. I have exceeded my time in spite of trying to finish in time. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. As I said, this is only a trailer of the way in which you can go ahead in litigation. Much more is available, which you may have to refer to. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I am open to questions, or if required, I can join Gagan back after half an hour for the questions. Whichever way, Sandeep ji, you tell me, I will do that.
Yeah, thank you, Madhukar sir. Sir, we will have a question and answer session after just 45 minutes, after 40 to 45 minutes. So after
Okay,
just e-waybill deliberation, we will take. Say, you will be there, na sir, because
100%.
we need. Yeah.
I will
Sir,
also listen to Gagan for about half an hour.
yeah, please.
While I'm doing this other thing, I can listen to him. I know the subject a little. I'm sure he knows it a little better than me. So
No.
in the end, I will also join back, but my answers will be more on the notices only.
Okay.
That is the
Thank you.
litigation part. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yes. Now I request our deputy convener Pratik Chaudhary ji, please introduce our next speaker, Gagan Kedia.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. Thank you, Madhukar sir, for the lovely session. Welcome, Gagan ji. You seem to be having a nice time in some open grounds. So it gives me pleasure to introduce Gagan ji to our audience. CA Gagan Kedia is a tax analyst, management consultant, and corporate trainer, offering over 9 years of post-qualification experience in the field of tax, consultancy, litigation management, and due diligence support. He has worked in past with Deloitte Haskins, catering to tax advisory and litigation needs of global retail conglomerates and IT giants. He's passionate about his profession. Gagan has been a very active member of the training teams in Deloitte at a pan-India level. He has also conducted various trainings with big corporate houses in the area of taxation and accounting. He is impaneled as a faculty under ITTC of ICAI for GST training in the certificate course being organized by the Institute. He is co-member of the GST Study Group Kolkata under Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI, dealing in GST research, representations to government, publications of books, etc. He has addressed more than 300 seminars and workshops on indirect tax across various educational, trade, and professional bodies. He is a faculty, visiting faculty for GST trainings with central and state GST officers, MSME technology, development area, professional corporations under the aegis of professional institutes like CACASC CMA. And presently, he is a partner in Hirigange and Associates, heading Kolkata branch of the firm dealing in GST advisory and litigation. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Please.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Quickly, I would need to have few confirmations. Is my PPT visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
And is my voice clear?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
absolutely. Clear.
Perfect.
Please go on.
Thank you. So at first, I would like to thank the convener, sir, CA Sandeep ji, and Deputy Convener Pratik ji for the opportunity that you gave for me to share the knowledge on this topic. And I would also like to be excused. I'm really sorry for that, for the background, because I had a sudden plan. I had to travel. So I want to take that excuse for not having a proper professional background. So as I understand, we have around 45 minutes. So what I will do is, our topic that today we will be discussing will be focused on e-waybill disputes, how to handle it. So in general, I generally like to share uh, some of the relevant statutory provisions, not all. We are not here to study what exactly are the provisions of uh, e-waybill one by one, but some of the basic provisions we'll look into it. And then few these points I used to generally discuss if we had more time, but then it's okay. Then we straight away jump to the issues part, and probably those are the cases we have seen a lot, and I'll try to share what type of judgments are coming in the industry in various parts of the country with regard to e-waybill. So quickly, for anything to be done in any act, you need to have a legal backing for it. So e-waybill is required. Why e-waybill is required? What is the relevant section for it? Which relevant section provides uh, the provisions for e-waybill? That is section 68. We'll see what section 68 is. Rules, we all know, rule 138 and to 138 A, B, C, D, E for different sorts of procedures like verification, inspection of goods, detention, uploading those information. There are few notifications which are relevant, which have been mentioned in the slide, uh, and circulars. There are other notification circulars, but these are the primarily circulars. Circular 64/38 of 2018 being the most important. We'll see in due course why. Now, what does Section 68 say? It says the government may require the person in charge of the conveyance. Just a moment. The person in charge of the conveyance carrying any consignment of goods of a value that is exceeding, so those amounts and all have been mentioned specifically as may be specified, to carry with him such documents. So these such documents, e-waybill is covered. And subsection 3 of that particular section 68 says, where any vehicle or conveyance is intercepted, he may require the person to produce such documents. So one requirement is to carry, and the other requirement is to produce it upon demand. So these sections give the power. Now, who are the stakeholders? For who all people e-waybill is important? From the seller or supplier's point of view, he is a person who is ready to generate e-waybill and reject e-waybill. When I say reject e-waybill, what do we mean? Let us say I am a seller. I naturally would also buy certain materials, raw materials or traded goods, whatever it is. And let us say, for example, the person from whom I am buying the goods is the person who is generating waybill. So I am not bothered to generate e-waybill, correct? Okay, good. But it may so happen that a particular vendor's name is there who has created a waybill on my name, that he has sold goods to me. But in essence, in actuality, I have not purchased goods from him. But I can still see his name now in my e-waybill portal that this is the person, this is the waybill generated on you by some other person. So if it belongs to me, it's okay. If it doesn't belong to me, I should go and reject it. And my time of rejection is within 3 days of its generation. So ideally, every third day, you should sit and check what all emails generated by other party on you, is it genuine or not? Because if it is not genuine, if it is not your genuine purchase, but it is still there, and if it is regular, then what department is perceiving? Okay, you are purchasing all these goods, but you are not showing it sales. So that is again one important aspect we should be looking into. Receiver also the same point, buyer also. Transporters, they have an additional responsibility of updating the vehicle number in case of any change of vehicle, in case of any what do you say,
And before
breakdown of
I leave
vehicle.
tonight, I promised you a very interesting exclusive with Prashant Kishore.
Issues.
Prashant
Okay,
Kishore is
and department is there to verify it.
campaign for Mamata Banerjee, and he
Is
says,
my voice audible?
even today,
Yeah, please go on, Gagan. There was some disturbance.
Perfect.
It is okay now.
No issues, no issues, no issues. The nation does want to know what e-waybill says. So quickly, one summary that we'll do over here is what was the start for e-waybill. So we have to remember this will be helpful in past period litigations, for earlier period audits and all whenever it is happening. So for interstate, it was 1st April 2018, and for intrastate within the state, it was 1st July. Monetary limits for within the state were different. Interstate, it is 50,000 pan India, but within the state, for example, in West Bengal, we have the limit of 1 lakh. So there are 3 categories which I have listed below. Basically, try to note all the metro cities: West Bengal, Maharashtra, Delhi, and Tamil Nadu. Chennai, Bombay, Delhi, Kolkata, all metro cities plus Bihar, they had a limit of 1 lakh. Bihar had changed it to 2 lakhs in January 2019. Mizoram is only one of the state, 7 sisters, which has reduced the limit to 10,000. They say, I want to track more. And all other states apart from the above and all the union territories have the limit of 50,000 for within the state sales as well. Now, what is the flow of e-invoice, e-waybills? There are 2 parts, A and B. A contains the sale details, B contains the movement details. E-waybill starts, e-waybill is generated when you fill the part B. Before that, it is not a generated e-waybill. Conveyance detail comes in part B. Now, when can I, so let's say the validity is getting expired, what to do? So you can extend the validity. You have the provision for that. Let us say if you have generated by error, you can cancel it. If you have a limit of 24 hours, the other party on whom I have created has a limit of 72 hours to do that. Now, what happens if the waybill is exceeded? Can I extend it then? So the law says even after the time of expiry, you can, even after 8 hours of that expiry period, you still have the time to uh, extend that waybill. But let us say there was a case where it was demonstrated that the SSE took no efforts to extend the validity and his goods were detained beyond the validity period. So Madras High Court in this case, Caterpillar India, had clearly said that where SSE has taken no efforts to extend the validity of the e-way bill, the detention cannot be held illegal. There has to be a considerable time. Let us say you have not done in 8 hours, you have done in the 9th hour. It will not render it illegal. So your effort should be coming out over there. Now let us take another case. What has happened? I am supposed to send goods from my location to, let us say, Sandeep ji's location in Gujarat. Now the goods will not go in the vehicle which is loaded in my factory. From my factory, the vehicle will take it to a depot of the transporter. There it will be loaded onto a bigger vehicle, and from there it will go to the customer's place in Gujarat. Now from my place to the transporter's place of business, there is one small truck for that. Then from transporter's place in Calcutta to Gujarat, there is another truck, another vehicle over there. Now the rule says, rule 138, sub rule 3, it says that the part B, the vehicle number for the first leg, that small leg of the small truck, if it is within 50 kilometers, you don't need that. But you need part A for that. You have to send part A, generate part A. You have to have that when you are moving within that 50 kilometers. Now, if your goods are detained within that kilometers, you would say, boss, my goods are going for further transportation. See rule 138.3. Officer is saying, no, boss, I'm not going to see it. So same case was dealt by Allahabad High Court. It said no detention for missing part B in case it is within 50 kilometers for an onward journey. So this part is very important in case you have part A, but you have not part B. Then again, a question came that if I am moving goods from my factory in, let us say, Calcutta to my godown, let us say in Durgapur, which is both within the same state under same GST number. Question was, if I'm moving my own goods, do I need an e-way bill? There is no sale. The answer is yes, because e-way bill is required for movement of goods. It is not required for any supply. Even if there is no supply, but if there is movement of goods, e-way bill is required for that. So Indus Tower in Kerala High Court had clearly mentioned these things. Now, in one particular case, Allahabad High Court also observed that if due to some technical shortcomings of the portal, some act could not be done online, let's say vehicle number to be updated, it could not be done, but it has been handwritten on the face of the e-way bill due to portal shortcomings, it should not be a ground to detain and levy penalty, because levy of penalty under this provision is upon to some extent it is dependent on with an intent to evade tax. So that all need to be taken care. Now in another case, what had happened, the vehicle person in charge of the conveyance was carrying the tax invoice, he was carrying the e-way bill, but he was not carrying the transporter's lorry receipt. So vehicle was intercepted. Upon investigation, the officer saw, okay, you have all the papers ready, but you don't have an LR, so I will detain your goods. Gujarat High Court said, boss, LR copy is not a ground for detention of goods. The GST Act specifies it very clearly that you need is a tax. Such documents, remember that section 68, such documents we had seen, those such documents is tax invoice and e-way bill. It nowhere mentions about anything else. Let us say, for example, the vehicle is running on an expired insurance, or no PUC is not done for that. Those reasons cannot be a ground for my goods to be detained under GST Act. Because of all these, the government came out with a circular. They said, okay, there are a lot of small issues. There were plethora of high court judgments on certain minor issues because of which the officer used to detain the goods. छोटे छोटे issues के कारण ना गुड्स को रोक लिया जाता था। तो सरकार ने सर्कुलर 64 2018 में इशू किया और बोले माइनर डिफेक्ट्स शुड नॉट लीड टू डिटेंशन। अब माइनर डिफेक्ट्स क्या है कि माइनर डिफेक्ट्स को समझने के लिए उन्होंने कुछ सिचुएशंस लिस्ट डाउन किया। ये सारे सिचुएशंस कुछ हद तक वही सिचुएशंस थे जो आज तक केस लॉ बन के आए थे। इसके अलावा भी अगर कोई माइनर डिफेक्ट होता है देन इट विल अगेन टेक इट्स ओन कोर्स इन द हाई कोर्ट्स। नाउ व्हाट आर द माइनर डिफेक्ट्स? लेट अस से आपने बिल बनाया, ई-वे बिल बनाया, जीएसटी नंबर पार्टी का सही है, द जीएसटी नंबर ऑफ द पर्सन इज करेक्ट, हाउएवर द स्पेलिंग इज रॉन्ग, द प्रोनाउंसिएशन प्रोबेबली इज रॉन्ग। So as far as GST is correct, the spelling mistakes in the name should be okay. There are cases we have seen in our offices as well. They were supposed to raise invoice from, let us say, so all the group companies, they have similar first name, second name generally changed. The group's first name is generally same. So they were supposed to raise from company A and company B. So they raised from company B, but GSTN was of company A. So these type of some mistakes in tax invoice and all they generally do. But these are minor defects. Let us say if the PIN number that you have entered while generating part B, you have wrongly entered it a different number. If unless it is changing the validity, because destination PIN decides how long that goods will be, the e-way bill will be valid for movement. जब तक मेरी पिन के कारण वैलिडिटी चेंज नहीं हो रही है तब तक पिन नंबर भी अगर गलत डालता हूं तो वो एक रीजन नहीं हो सकता है डिटेंशन के लिए। The document number that we put may have errors in few digits, typo error or whatever it is. 1-2 digit error, still it will be considered minor defects. HSN at 4 or 6 digit level is wrong, but the first 2 digits are correct and the rate is same. So what does the government say? Let us say the first 2 digit of the HSN is correct, but the government feels the 4 digit classification, or for that matter now we have 6 digits, that is wrong. This should be something else, but the first 2 digit is same and the rate is also same. So that should not be a ground for detention. And even if there is any error in 1 or 2 digits of the vehicle number, the circular says it's a minor defect. And very recently I came across this news that all these FASTags are now transmitting data to the GST department for tracking of the vehicles also. So once this is fully implemented, then major issues of goods being moved with the invoices being issued without movement of goods, for genuine cases, these all will be sorted out. Now in one case, what had happened, the goods were supposed to move from point A to point B. पॉइंट बी पहुंचने के लिए उसको एक स्पेसिफिक रूट लेना था जो शॉर्टेस्ट रूट हो सकता था, बट उस व्हीकल वाले ने सोचा यहां से नहीं, थोड़ा सा घूम के जाते हैं, फॉर एनी रीजन, इट कुड बी सिटी के बीच में इस टाइम पे नहीं जाना, या पुलिस का यहाँ पे ज्यादा चक्कर है, या घूम के जाओ, थोड़ा सा काम करते हुए जाओ, और वो डिफरेंट रूट पे ऑफिसर ने उसे पकड़ लिया। बोला तुम यहाँ क्या कर रहे हो, तुम्हारा डेस्टिनेशन तो दूसरी तरफ है, तुम यहाँ आए हो मतलब चोरी करने आए हो। सो जस्ट बिकॉज there is the vehicle is taking a different route from the short possible route is not a reason कि आपका vehicle को हम detain किया जाए. This detention ground is not tenable as long as other details are correct, that is all okay. तेलंगाना हाई कोर्ट कमर्शियल स्टील के केस में कहा कि रूट कौन सा ले रहा है is not your prerogative to decide, बाकी सब ठीक है, वैलिडिटी पीरियड के अंदर है, let him go. So ये छोटे छोटे केसेस क्या होंगे ना, मैं आपसे जो डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ, ई-वे बिल एक ऐसा चीज है, जब गाड़ी पकड़ा जाता है ना, वहां पे ड्राइवर फर्स्ट पॉइंट पे डील कर रहा होता है, वो इतना समझ के लिए इक्विप्ड नहीं है। आप भी हो सकते हो जब गाड़ी पकड़ा उस मौके पे आपका क्लाइंट नहीं पहुंच पाएगा, या आप शायद नहीं पहुंच पाओगे, बट आप फोन पे शायद बात करते हो, या वट एवर द सिचुएशन इज, यू ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन कि भैया ये तो हाईकोर्ट का सेटल्ड है कि यहाँ पे तो ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, आप क्यों हैरेस कर रहे हो, दोस पॉइंट्स। नाउ देयर इज वन इंटरेस्टिंग केस, आई हैव आइडेंटिफाइड वन पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट एज गुड्स ए, और मैंने उसकी क्लासिफिकेशन एक पर्टिकुलर अंडरस्टैंडिंग पे की। व्हीकल को जब इंटरसेप्ट किया गया, ऑफिसर को लगा अरे नहीं तो ये तो गुड्स ए नहीं है, ये तो गुड्स बी है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल बहुत सिंपल से हम समझते हैं, रबर और इरेजर हम कैसे समझते हैं? हम जिससे पेंसिल पे लिखी हुई जो चीज को मिटाते हैं उसे हम रबड़ भी कहते हैं, हम उसे इरेजर भी कहते हैं, राइट? और वो पेंसिल के पीछे एक जो रबड़ लगी हुई होती है ना, तो उसे रबड़ क्लासिफाई किया जाएगा कि पार्ट ऑफ पेंसिल क्लासिफाई किया जाएगा? वो एक क्लासिफिकेशन डिस्प्यूट। ऐसे बहुत सारे क्लासिफिकेशन डिस्प्यूट्स है, मतलब प्लेथोरा ऑफ डिस्प्यूट्स है। मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग एक स्पेसिफिक थॉट पे हो सकती है। डिपार्टमेंट क्लासिफिकेशन सही है कि गलत है, इस बेसिस पे मेरा गुड्स डिटेन, व्हीकल डिटेन नहीं कर सकता है। केरला हाईकोर्ट टेली फ्रेश फूड्स इंडिया के केस में उन्होंने कहा कि क्लासिफिकेशन इज नॉट द रीजन फॉर डिटेंशन। हाँ, आपको उस पर दूसरा प्रोसीडिंग्स इनिशिएट करना आप करो, दैट इज, वो तो एक गाड़ी पकड़ाना आपने, वो तो उसी क्लासिफिकेशन में बहुत सारे गाड़ियों को बेचा होगा। यू डू अ स्पेसिफिक डिफरेंट assessment altogether, but not detain the goods for this one. Now there was one another case where the officer said no, your tax invoice is saying goods is worth 12 lakhs, but मुझे तो सामान देके लग रहा है ये कम से कम 25 लाख का माल है, तुम अंडर वैल्यू करके लेके जा रहे हो गुड्स को। दिस इज वेरी कॉमन, राइट? कि आपकी वैल्यूएशन जो आपने की है, टैक्स इनवॉइस ना टैक्स पे किया, और ये सामान देख के मुझे लग रहा है कि नहीं भैया ये तो अंडर वैल्यूड गुड्स है, और इस चक्कर में बिकॉज यू हैव नॉट पेड पूरा टैक्स, उनके पास तो एक सीधा सा बात है ना कि ये 10 लाख का माल थोड़े, ये तो 20 लाख का माल है, तुमने टैक्स कम दिया, चलो हम तुम्हारे गाड़ी को पकड़ेंगे। वेरी वेरी कॉमन थिंग दिस इज। छत्तीसगढ़ हाईकोर्ट केपी सुगंध केस, इट सेज नो, valuation is not again a ground for detention. You may refer the case for separate proceedings that may be initiated, वो करो अपनी जगह, but detention is not tenable here in this case of valuation. Now one again, in one case what had happened that टैक्स इनवॉइस में मैंने गलती से C+S चार्ज किया, पर ई वे बिल पे मैंने करेक्टली आईजीएसटी जो होना चाहिए था टैक्स वही लिखा। So now I have a tax invoice जिसपे C+S लिखा हुआ है, and I have an e-way bill for the same tax invoice जिसपे IGST लिखा हुआ है। IGST is correct or the other way around. Officer is saying नहीं बस तो tax invoice है और जो e-way bill वो तो मैच ही नहीं कर रहा है। भले ही डॉक्यूमेंट नंबर मैच कर रहा है, भले ही पार्टी मैच कर रहा है, भले ही टैक्सेबल वैल्यू मैच कर रहा है, बट द टैक्स हेड इज नॉट मैचिंग। चलो हम तुम्हारा गुड्स को डिटेन करेगा। सो अगेन केरला हाईकोर्ट, सो यू वुड ऑब्जर्व ई-वे बिल के केस में ना केरला हाईकोर्ट के बहुत सारे जजमेंट्स हैं। कभी भी अपने को रिसर्च करनी हो ना, केरला हाईकोर्ट के बहुत सारे जजमेंट्स हैं, अदर जजमेंट्स आर आल्सो देयर, बट केरला हाईकोर्ट के बहुत सारे जजमेंट्स हैं। सो अगेन द केरला हाईकोर्ट सेड इन केस ऑफ उमैया एंटरप्राइजेस कि नहीं भैया तो क्लरिकल एरर है, C+S का माइनर डिफेक्ट है, उसको छोड़ो। ये रीजन कहाँ है उसका? इवेजन ऑफ टैक्स कहाँ हुआ? देयर इज नो इवेजन ऑफ टैक्स, करेक्ट? हाँ, एट मैक्स इन सब केसेस में सेक्शन 122 केसेस ऑफ पेनल्टी, जनरल पेनल्टी में वो 10,000 का लगा सकता है वेयर इनवॉइस इज नॉट इशूड इन अकॉर्डेंस विद द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द एक्ट। ओके ठीक है 10,000, बट मेरे गुड्स को नहीं टच करेगा। नाउ इन वन पर्टिकुलर केस, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, गुजरात केस में क्या हुआ था कि ऑफिसर ने गुड्स को रोका, रोकने के बाद बोला नहीं तुम तो चोरी करेगा पक्का, और सीधा कन्फिस्केशन कर दिया। नाउ वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड, ये जो हम सेक्शन भी जब पढ़ेंगे ना जीएसटी में, तो इट स्टार्ट्स विद डिटेंशन, सीजर एंड देन कन्फिस्केशन। सो देयर आर थ्री थिंग्स दैट कैन हैपन विद योर गुड्स: डिटेंशन, सीजर, कन्फिस्केशन। हिंदी में हम बोले तो गाड़ी को रोकना, जब्त करना और उस पर कब्जा कर लेना, कन्फिस्केट कर लेना आपसे, राइट? हमारी हम मोबाइल ले जाते थे अगर स्कूल में में, तो मैम बोलती थी ना चलो तुम्हारा मोबाइल कन्फिस्केट कर लेंगे, मतलब हम उसको जब्त कर लेंगे अपने पास। नाउ व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दीज थ्री? डिटेंशन में गुड्स की ओनरशिप और पोजेशन एसएससी के पास होती है। डिटेंशन में गुड्स की ओनरशिप और पोजेशन एसएससी के पास होती है। सीजर के केस में ओनरशिप एसएससी के पास होती है बट पोजेशन डिपार्टमेंट ले लेता है, और कन्फिस्केशन के केस में ओनरशिप भी ले लेता है, लास्ट लेग भी ले लेता है, और फिर कन्फिस्केशन के बाद उसको डिस्पोजल करके अपना टैक्स कलेक्शन करना जो है वो करता है। सो इस पर्टिकुलर केस में सिनर्जी फर्टिकेम गुजरात हाईकोर्ट, इस केस में क्या हुआ था दैट ऑफिसर डिडंट, देन विदाउट सीजर ही स्ट्रेट अवे वेंट फॉर कन्फिस्केशन। किस बेसिस पे? कि मुझे लग रहा है कि तुम टैक्स की चोरी करोगे। नाउ गुजरात हाई कोर्ट हेल्ड फॉर confiscation section 130 and detention and seizure is 129, you need to first establish that you have an intent to evade tax. Without having that basis, confiscation is not tenable. Mere assumption, you cannot do confiscation. You need to have definite points to indicate. नहीं तो ऑफिसर ये क्या है ना, इस चीज पर डराते हैं काफी, इनको लगता है कि हाँ कन्फिस्केशन का डराने से कुछ रिकवरी ऑफ टैक्स जाएगी, बट अगेन इंटेंट टू इवेट टैक्स इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Same thought process was applied by Himachal Pradesh authority. This is an appellate authority only. It said if you have sent a machine for repairs, आपने एक मशीन भेजी कहीं पे रिपेयर्स में, ई-वे बिल जनरेट किया, याद है ना, मशीन भेजी है मैंने तो बेची नहीं है, पर ई-वे बिल जनरेट करना भूल गया, बिकॉज इट इज अ मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स, करना था भूल गया. ऑफिसर बोला नो नो, तुमने तो कुछ चोरी करी है, चलो टैक्स और पेनल्टी दोनों लेंगे. डिमांड भी लिया टैक्स का, पेनल्टी भी लगा रहा है. जिस अथॉरिटी ने बोला अरे भाई उसका इंटेंट टू इवेट टैक्स कहाँ था, वो तो मशीन रिपेयर के लिए भेज रहा था, सेल के लिए भेजा होता और फिर वहां पे होता तो इवेट टैक्स के लिए बात कर सकते थे, बट दिस वाज ओनली फॉर रिपेयर्स. सो दिस इज नॉट अ फिट केस फॉर डिटेंशन. सो दिस वाज हेल्ड बाय नेवा प्लांटेशन हिमाचल प्रदेश अथॉरिटी फॉर एडवांस रूलिंग. एंड वन मोर पॉइंट, what we also Dukar sir was also discussing, whenever you have to make any payment of tax, if the goods are detained, the officer cannot force you to make the payment in cash, माने cash ledger या अभी जमा करो, DD जमा कराओ, that cannot be done. If you have sufficient balance in your credit ledger or for that matter cash ledger on portal, you can do the payment of tax from there. This has been held again by Kerala High Court in Fashion Marbles and Granite case. So ये सारे provisions छोटे 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 बहुत सारे आते हैं, जिसके कारण we know कि these are all cases that have been decided in favor of the assessee, considering कि e-invoicing, okay, so all these judgments were part considering कि intent evasion का है कि नहीं है. So that is again one very important part. Minor defects, intent, these are the two buzzwords. Now there are certain cases जहां पे प्रॉब्लम आती है, जो आपके क्लाइंट्स आपको पूछेंगे कि काम हो गया, तीन हफ्ते हो गए काम को हुए, अब कुछ गलती रियलाइज हुआ, क्या करूं? I cannot go back and edit the document that has already happened 3 weeks ago. Max to max हमें कुछ भी edit करना, cancel करना 24 घंटे का टाइम होता है, right? उसके बाद तो मैं कुछ कर भी नहीं सकता. I cannot change it, I cannot edit. But you have observed some differences which you cannot change. Now what to do in such case? आप अगर कुछ नहीं करते, in your books you will record it correctly. You would have recorded it in your 3B and R1 and GSTR 9 correctly, but your e-way bill is selling something else. So in order to avoid future litigation, the best way is to communicate with the department beforehand कि ऐसा हुआ है, online में change कर नहीं सकता. To be compliant, I am letting you know so that future में आप मुझे इस पे कुछ सवाल ना उठाना. That is one point. Another point, are we actually doing our matching of e-way bill data with our actual data of books? This is going to be very important. ये बात, let us discuss 2 minutes on this. First of all, if you go and generate summary of e-way bill, it is very cumbersome. At present, if you go and generate, वो 5 days से ज़्यादा लेता नहीं है. It's a ledger. How many e-way bills have been generated? It takes a range of 5 days. However, I don't know if this is true or not, but my team member was working on it and he said that sir, सुबह 8 बजे से 12 बजे के बीच में आप monthly summaries भी generate कर सकते हो. With a click, you can generate 1 month summary in total. But सुबह 8 बजे से 12 बजे के बीच में. So maybe we can look into it for, otherwise it is very difficult. Now, are we actually taking a summary from the GST portal that how many invoices I have generated e-way bill versus what is my actual data as per books for my sales as well as for my purchases? Let us say I am not required to generate e-way bill for my purchases. The other person is doing, he is the person causing movement of goods, so he will generate. Still, generate it, find out whether all those items are pertaining to your books of accounts or not. Let us say there are certain entries which purchase entries there in your not in e-way bill, it's his fault, he has not generated. But if there are certain entries which is not there in your books, but still it is there in your purchase data of e-way bill, that's a matter of concern. तो ये सारे चीजों को हमें ध्यान में रखना है। ई वे बिल में डायरेक्टली डिपार्टमेंट की इंटरेक्शन होती है, और देर आर केसेस जहां पे ट्रांसपोर्टर की गलती के कारण ट्रांसपोर्टर, so there was one case where the driver forgot to take the copies of e-way bill and the tax invoice when he was when he started his journey. The vehicle was intercepted. He said, "Oh shit, ghar office mein bhul gaya." Again, this cannot be a case if it is validly generated, but he's not carrying. You cannot detain. You levy penalty on general penalty, but it cannot be detained because of these reasons. So we have to keep this in mind. Uh, Again, what we said, what Madhukar sir also said, not have an ego fight with the department. On the same time, we should always be very careful in recording all the transactions, all the communications in writing. वर्बल चाहे जो भी हो, वो भी अगर डिपार्टमेंट भी बोले नहीं नहीं ऐसा करो, आप ऐसा करो, इतना टैक्स दे दो, वो दे दो, तो सर आप मुझे लिखित में दे दो ये चीज, एंड देन वी शुड प्रोसीड अकॉर्डिंगली. Sandeep ji, that would be done my part. I think we'll be taking questions now.
Yeah. Please close this sharing.
Just a moment.
Yeah, thank you, Gagan ji, for your nice deliberation. Madhukar ji, Pratik also, please switch on your camera if possible. So now requesting delegates to please raise your hands so that you can directly ask your questions to our today's speakers. Questions related to notices to Madhukar sir, and e-way bill notice questions related to Gagan. Mr. Vivek wants to ask some question. One second, I'm just unmuting him.
Good evening.
Good evening, Vivek. Yeah,
Good evening,
please go.
Gagan ji. Good evening, Madhukar
Good
sir.
evening, Vivek ji.
Sir, in a typical case, I found one of a client, he has say picked up the goods from one of the industries, and that good is loaded like today evening, late evening. So there's a tanker, and tanker is being filled, and he's getting a LR copy of today's date. But what if he's unable to bill it today? Can he make the bill and e-way bill tomorrow when after he comes to office? Then only the tanker leaves the place, but the LR copy is dated today.
Okay, Vivek ji, again, so goods are moving on day 2. The
Yes.
vehicle starts its journey on day 2.
But
Tax invoice is made. E-way bill is made. LR
Yes.
is a dated 1 day prior to it.
yes,
Same case. LR, is it a document that is required for detention of vehicle? No, it can always happen. Plus your case is fit for what industry does. Like I have to fill the tankers and all that will be happening today. Tomorrow morning the goods are dispatching. There's no issue in it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gagan. Thank you, Vivek ji, for the question. And Mr. Ajit wants to ask something. Mr. Ajit Tulchan, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
अच्छा, जैसे मेरा ई-वे बिल में गुड्स का मूवमेंट हो रहा है फ्रॉम स्टेट 1 टू स्टेट 2. अगर मान लीजिए स्टेट कोई दूसरा स्टेट आ रहा है, मतलब स्टेट 2 के अंदर आने वाले फॉर दिल्ली टू कलकत्ता कोई गुड्स आ रहा है, बीच में मान लीजिए उत्तर प्रदेश आ गया, बिहार आ गया, एंड वहां पर गाड़ी को रोक लेता है, तो वहां पर गाड़ी को रोक के कुछ सब पूछता है, तो मेरे को जो जवाब देना है, मेरे को अपना स्टेट में कलकत्ता में हो तो कलकत्ता का डिपार्टमेंट मेरे को देना पड़ेगा, क्या दिल्ली के डिपार्टमेंट में देना पड़ेगा जहाँ से गुड्स मूवमेंट हुआ है?
नहीं, अगर व्हीकल इंटरसेप्शन किसी बीच के स्टेट में हो रहा है तो वो तो पूछ सकता है ना आपसे सवाल की क्या है नहीं है, और जो ऑफिसर पूछ रहा है उसी को जवाब देंगे. आप कलकत्ता वाले को जवाब दोगे तो हाउ विल ही नो कि क्या सिचुएशन है नहीं है? दैट हैज टू हैपन ऑन द स्पॉट. जो ऑफिसर रेस कर रहा है
नहीं, अगर मान लीजिए
आप उसी को जवाब देंगे.
जब केस हम लोग ट्रांसफर कराते हैं सर, बोल के आप ठीक मेरे जुरिडिक्शनल ऑफिसर को दे दीजिएगा केस कि आपका जो भी है तुम अपने जुरिडिक्शनल ऑफिसर से मैं बात कर लूंगा, तो उस टाइम पे वो कौन से जुरिडिक्शन में जाएगा, जहाँ से गुड्स का मूवमेंट चालू हुआ या जहाँ पे गुड्स लैंड करेगा? क्या
ई-वे बिल किसने बनाया है?
मान लीजिए
ना बायर ने?
सेलर ने बनाया.
तो पर्सन इंचार्ज ऑफ कन्वेंस को बिल बनाना है. See, remember, there is a provision in section 129 also कि अगर goods को claim करने कोई आता है कि नहीं आता है, तो penalty की ratio भी change हो जाती है, क्योंकि ट्रांसपोर्टर तो बेचा वहीं सामने है, बायर और सेलर में पर्सन इन चार्ज ऑफ कन्वेंस, कौन माल को क्लेम करने आ रहा है. सो जनरली वो ही ई-वे बिल बनाएगा ना, ई-वे बिल जनरेट करेगा आइदर बायर और सेलर. सो ऑन whichever percent the issue is raised, उसी के jurisdiction पे जाएगा if the case is.
अच्छा, ठीक है, thank you.
Yeah, thank you Ajit ji for your question. Thank you Gagan ji. Any other question from the delegates? Vivek Goyal again wants to ask some question. Yeah, please unmute and ask the question.
सर अगेन केस जो नॉर्मली सबके साथ ही मोटा मोटी होता है कि ट्रांजिट में गुड्स था, गाड़ी खराब हो गई, ट्रांसपोर्टर ने कुछ बोला नहीं एंड डेट एक्सपायर कर गया. वेरी कॉमन क्वेश्चंस एक्चुअली. तो उस केस में नाउ वी हैव सीन दैट वी कैन नॉट रेज अ बिल, ई-वे बिल फॉर अ बिल नंबर which has already been used. So currently we are suggesting in some of the cases to the clients that kindly make a credit note for that old bill and raise a new bill and a new e-way bill, and the starting point in that e-way bill kindly mention it at अभी अगर गाड़ी कलकत्ता से दिल्ली जा रही है और कानपुर में खराब हुई तो कानपुर से दिल्ली का बना. Is that a good thing? Is that suffice, or we should do something extra onto that?
Again, see, Vivek ji, what I feel is there is a time limit to extend even after the period of expiry.
Even after the means say expiry has
8 hours, even after the expiry, you can extend it.
But it does not take...
there's a provision, there's a rule as well for that even after 8 hours of expiry, you can still extend it. There is a provision for it. So let us say that even that time is elapsed. Excuse me,
yes.
what's asking? So let us say even that option has been over, you cannot do it now. Yes. There may be many reasons. So last week I was there one case where the client told me that our vehicle was it had a breakdown. So the driver was supposed to change the vehicle and get it repaired so that he can move on to the next journey. The driver maybe because of his thought process कि मैं सस्ते जगह से इसको रिपेयर कराऊंगा, 2 दिन वेस्ट कर दिया. वो बताया भी नहीं अपने मालिक को कि नहीं मैंने रिपेयर करा के आगे मूवमेंट नहीं किया या दूसरे व्हीकल में ट्रांसफर नहीं किया. वो 2 दिन वहां वेट किया कि सस्ता जगह से रिपेयर कराऊंगा और वे बिल एक्सपायर हो के बताया भी नहीं. सो देयर कैन बी लॉट ऑफ रीजंस जहां पे वे बिल एक्सपायरी हो जाएगी एंड ट्रांसपोर्टर के गलती के कारण नहीं होगा. नाउ ऑल दीज केसेस लाइक व्हाट आई सेड, यू डोंट हैव एन ऑप्शन टू रिकॉर्ड दीज केसेस ऑनलाइन, राइट? तो अपन एक ऑप्शन निकालते हैं कि एक काम करो, एक डिलीवरी चलान बना दो, वहां से वहां का साथ में देके वो भेज दो. देयर इज एन ऑप्शन कि उसका क्रेडिट नोट. सो वी ऑल आई कॉल ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स एज जुगाड़. So if you are doing a jugaad with a good intent, you don't have an intent to evade tax, communicate it to the department immediately. Earlier regime there was a method of utilization. अभी आपका कोई वे बिल बन जाता है, आप उस पे गुड्स का मूवमेंट नहीं कर पाते हो, कैंसिल भी नहीं कर पाते हो, वे बिल बना पड़ा है, बट यू हैव नॉट सप्लाइड गुड्स अगेंस्ट इट. कम्युनिकेट इमीडिएटली. So the crux over here would be communicated. Your intent should be communicated, like what Madhukar sir said. If you are not doing these things, you will probably end up in bigger trouble at the end.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your nice questions, and again thanking to the Madhukar sir for their nice deliberation for the notices. What are the matters through which notices can become in the litigation may happen in the recent era, and the remedial actions that can be taken by the client, and requesting Pratik to please offer a vote of thanks to our today's speaker Madhukar, Hire Gangeshwar and Gaganji. Please, Pratik.
I, on behalf of my own self and on behalf of CKCA, thank Madhukar sir and Gagan sir to give their time and deliberate on most important topics for today's time. And so we thank you both, and we have learned a lot, and it will help us managing the GST matters in some ways. And we always look forward to you to reach out to you for things which we cannot manage ourselves. Thank you so much for your time.
So one thing, sir. Here, physically we cannot give the memento, but we are offering the e-memento to our both the speakers. Please accept, and if possible, please keep it in your e-library. And it for you, sir, Hiragange sir, it's a small token of love. E-memento for you. And
Thank you.
yeah. Next, Gaganji, it's also thank you for coming. 1 second.
I would
think
also like to again first I would like to also thank again the organizers Prateek Sandeep ji for organizing this session, providing me the opportunity, and I also like to thank Madhukar sir for the guidance that he has given me to go ahead with this topic and help me prepare it. And again, I would like to apologize for the background noise and all the disturbance I had. I'm so sorry for that.
No, sir, Gagan, it's even your busy schedule. You have so well organized the session. It's a really nice. Even in the last, you told me that you are in the Jorhat, but even though you have it was well organized by you. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot, delegates, for a huge registration and all. Thanks a lot, everyone. If we will definitely share all the two presentations to you, the all delegates that have registered in this session. Yes, sir. Hari Ganga, sir, please.
One more thing, what we can do, Gagan and me, any queries are there in the next, maybe 2 days, they can address to us, we will answer it also, related to this subject,
Yes.
which we took.
So nice.
That also is something which we can extend, because what happens sometimes, it is a very fast, short sessions, everything will not be covered what we have covered in the PPT. So you could be to answer it. In the last slide, our email ID is there. Thank you.
That's it. So nice of you, sir. Thanks a lot. We'll definitely all the delegates will be definitely benefited due to this session, and we will share them today's presentation. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot, both of you, sir. Thank you. Namaskar. So
Thank
we
you.
are
Namaskar.
now